Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Salt and Sauce podcast. Scottish football is rolling on, season really getting underway, and that's the first round of fixtures complete. So we'll be looking at it from the point of view of a Hearts and a Hibs fan who happen to have the misfortune of being best friends, or best friends who have the misfortune of supporting Hearts and Hibs. I don't know which way you want to look at it. I'm obviously the Hearts side of things. Rob, you'll be looking at the Hibs side of things. I know. You can probably tell already which one of us is happier at the minute. But you've had your shot being the happy one. Is that fair to say?
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Um, so the results this week, I'll let you decide, Rob, if you want to go first or second. But obviously a frustrating afternoon for Hibs playing Livingston 2-2. Hearts pretty comfortable 4-0 with Dundee. What would you like to do? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go second?
I'll go first. I'll get out of the way.
I was just gonna say, is this a case of getting getting
Yeah,
out of the way rather than looking forward to it?
and never have
So
to talk about it again.
yeah. Rob, this I don't know if you've noticed this, but Hibs conceding a late goal. Is that?
Yeah, it's a theme and one everyone's discussed. We've discussed on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't quite tell the story of this game. As we'll get to, there was a bit of controversy in the game and big moments that just didn't quite go our way. One very big one. But look, the changes that I suggested in the last pod pretty much came to fruition.
He must be listening.
He
He
must be,
must be
must
listening.
be, he must be. But Bowie was dropped, and we went with Boyle and we went with Cliche up front, and I thought that was a good move. And when I had a look at the team, I was like, no, that's fair enough. Quite happy with that. Chiba started. He's kind of been very good against Livingston the last few games. So I thought all that was fair enough. I quite liked the look of the team. As I said, I didn't really want to make too many wholesale changes just because of essentially missing a penalty would have got us a half decent result on Wednesday. And that's what it boiled down to. I know Hibs weren't great in the game, no, neither were Rangers.
No.
But that penalty goes in, and you're thinking, right, we'll take a point there. So fine margins. So yeah, the game started as well as you possibly could have hoped. I don't think someone can
20,
correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't remember a quicker Hibs goal than 17 seconds.
I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find one quicker than that, but certainly it's got to be the quickest one this season for any team in the league, you would
Yeah,
think. But either
and
way, whether it is or it isn't, to get a goal after 17 seconds, whether it sets a record or not, is and what a goal.
And what a goal! And what I really liked is the ball up to Cliche again. He's a small man who's good in the air. I love that, you know that. And it's a really nice knockdown. And McGrath again, as I said, he's got that in his locker.
I
We
know.
we we just don't see it enough. Um, and it's unfortunate he didn't strike the penalty like that on Wednesday. But look, it's a really really good finish. Really good quality, right into the bottom corner. And you're thinking, dream start now, right?
Yeah.
Let's go now and impose ourselves on the game. Livy have to come out. We're best when we're counter attacking. This didn't work out like that. We had the talk last pod about can you score too early, and it seems the Sibs team can, because after that we just did not play well at all. We didn't keep the ball, just those same old mistakes, giving the ball away, got ourselves to the final third, that final touch, and to be honest, we got completely overrun in the midfield by Livy. They completely marked us out the game. They were quicker to the second balls. Just I I
So
I couldn't quite put my finger on what was going on.
so obviously I've seen the highlights. I was at the Hearts game obviously, so I didn't actually see the game itself, and it's hard to tell. Like we're Livy with so if we're talking between the McGrath goal and they scored in like the 37th minute or whatever.
Yeah.
Between then, are they creating much or are they just out fighting you?
Well, they had the ball in the net three times,
Oh
including the
yeah,
goal.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, One of them, okay, I think it probably was a foul, but it was a soft one
yeah.
that could have got either easily gone the other way. So we
Bit
were,
of a let off.
yeah, it was it was possibly. I do think it's a foul. I think it's soft, but
Yeah, it's the sort of one. It maybe depends which team you're supporting when you look at it. But again, look, a soft foul is a foul.
Is a foul. Yeah. So look, their goal was coming, and I was watching it. I was just like, this is a matter of time. We're not showing up here. And as I said, they were putting us under a lot of pressure, a lot better than the Livingston of the last two games that we played.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, I don't know if it was a bit of the players' mentality of kind of the last game as well, but we just too many players off it,
yeah.
and that's just what happened. And their goal, they hit it down the line. The boy, no one close enough to him, cuts it back. We've three defenders near him, and we just don't stop the ball. And it's a good goal from their point of view. And as I said, from our point of view, just poor defensively, weak. No one doing enough to get themselves in the way of the ball or to get pressure on the man. And they got, you know, overall, we were probably quite lucky for it to be 1-1.
Oh, really? So you
Yeah.
think if you're a Livingston
Oh.
fan, you think you should be going in ahead?
They were the better team in the first half. I
Oh,
think
wow.
Gray's admitted that himself. Um, so
So half time, 1-1.
half time comes and you're thinking, right, need a bit of a kind of big performance here. I was a little bit surprised maybe not to see changes at half time, but I think Gray said he wanted a reaction and he got that in the second half. We were a lot better. We started the game a lot better tempo,
Mm.
and again, a couple of chances here and there without huge chances being created. Again, the ball got wide to Nicky Cadden. He's just off form. He's just a bit off form,
Yeah.
and he came on as I think he came on as a sub, and
Yeah, well, I think Obita started, yeah.
yeah, Obita started, and these areas where he was hurting teams last season, he's it's just not happening for him. It's just not happening. And look, that happens. Players go out of form. Our problem is we five, six, seven of our big players out of form. Apart from Chiwa, Mulligan, I don't think many of those guys can say they played well, and that's including the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper looked nervous, poor kickouts, and again, he's been rock solid as well. And as we know, that goes like through the team then. If there's
Yeah,
nerves in
yeah,
the back,
yeah.
so there, we managed to get ourselves back in front. Again, it's a fantastic goal, actually.
Really good goal, yeah, it
Really,
is.
really good. Chiwa does really, really well. Just ran, ran to the byline there, manages to keep it in, knocks it onto Mulligan. Mulligan plays it into Boyle, absolutely fizzes it into him, and Boyle just does a great job, great awareness to take the touch, almost go round the ball, and then
Yeah,
it's a great finish.
yeah,
And
nice.
then you're thinking 2-1 then. We've got away with a bit of a rocky first half, and let's just add add to the lead or let's see this one out because Livy were a constant threat all game. Like it wasn't like the previous two games where I just felt like they weren't laying a glove on us. They always felt like they were in the game and it always felt like we needed that third. So the bit of controversy that I was going to say, and this is where these fine margins that just aren't going our way um, this season. The ball is knocked into Bowie. And
Mm.
but it's a fantastic finish, really, really good finish, and that's a Bowie that we want. That's a Bowie that we need right now from
Yeah,
last season. That just doesn't think about it, strokes it in,
yeah.
made it look very easy. A really hard finish, and I'm going crazy because I'm like, right, really not the greatest performance, but there you go. We're
Yeah.
3-1 up.
You've maybe got away with one there.
We've got away 1 points in the bag, and to be, as I said, Gray got a reaction in the second half. Whether he got enough of one, that's debatable, but there was definitely improvement from the first half, and it was called offside, and
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay. Had another look at it, and I was like, okay, he looks onside there, and I have yet to see a definitive angle that shows me he was offside. Therefore, the goal should be given. And I think that that will be one that we'll be getting a VAR apology for because if it's called offside and it's a legitimate goal, you then have to prove that it is offside. He's level. From any angle I have seen, he is level.
Was the call onside and then changed to offside, or was it offside and then held up?
Sorry, no, yeah, no, the linesman had his flag up.
Right, so he did. He gave. So actually, so I guess to counter that, I guess if you're a Livingston fan, you're saying, well, no, actually, you need to prove it's onside now to change that to make
Well,
it.
yeah,
I get your point though,
but
because
level is level.
no, I know this is what I was going to say, that offside's different to a foul, whereas like I might say, ah, that's a soft foul, and you might be, no, it's a stonewall, and you can argue over that. But yeah, when it's offside, it's a bit more factual, and it's one or the other. Um, I know when they draw the lines, that's meant to make it factual. But you're right. If I'm looking at that angle for Bowie, based on my eyesight, I'm like, I don't see the problem. But the only thing I would say, maybe being Hearts glasses on a little bit, is if they've drawn the lines. But I always even think, see when they draw the lines, like it's from when the ball is played. But
Yeah,
like when you kick a ball, I know you're starting to get into like the physics of stuff now, but your foot is in contact with the ball for like a fair number of sort of
mm.
milliseconds there. So at what point do you count the contact? So even that, like, and I just think make the rule a bit easier. There needs to be daylight between the striker and the defender, because
Either that or do thicker lines. And like as I said, I've always said with art, you want to see goals. So like
yeah.
give the attacker in the situation the advantage, because that like I can't see any part of Bowie that's offside there definitively.
I know, yeah, I mean, like I say, I know they drew the line and it was to do with like it's the part of your body that can play the ball. So I know if you're a Livingston fan, I get what your argument would be, but I also know if I was a Hibs fan, I'd be pretty pissed
But
off for that.
even when they drew the line, Stuart, he's like
I
he's
know, I know.
offside.
Like the lines are right next to each other, and I'm going,
It's
yeah,
just
I know,
it's ridiculous. And I've seen goals all season, not just for Hibs, but for other teams as well. And you're just thinking, just give the goal.
I know,
You
I
want to
know.
see goals. You want to see entertainment. If you're looking for ways to not give a goal, like it's stupidity.
Yeah,
But anyway, that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
huge moment in the game because we go 3-1 up there and we see the game out. I'm no doubt about that at that stage of the match. But obviously at 2-1, when you're
Yeah.
not playing great as well, you're you're still giving the opposition uh the chance to get back in the game.
And they're playing with a bit of confidence because they've played quite well.
Yeah, they played okay. Second half, I mean, they weren't great, but
Sure.
again,
But given that they're the underdogs in the game, they'll be thinking, ah, well, we've laid a glove on these
yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
can definitely get a goal.
And as I said, we just kind of after that kind of just seemed to knock the wind out of our sails and give them a bit of a boost. We started dropping deeper and deeper, didn't keep the ball, and you're just thinking, we've seen this story before. So from although I'm saying VAR essentially did cost us that, we were still 2-1 up. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
I
we
was
were
going to say that.
1-1 and then it was 2-1. You know, we were still 2-1 up. We had the advantage in the game. You're 2-1 away to bottom of the league. Just see the game out. Just do what you need to do to keep the ball out the net.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that, as I said. We give away a stupid corner. It doesn't need to be given away. We don't win the first ball, and then look, penalties happen. I think that and obviously, look, it's a pen. No questions asked about that one. And it's a great pen. Keeper had no chance,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much the last kick of the game. It's just a story I've seen too often this season. But I do think that this is a bit harsh, and I also think Wednesday night as well. I know we didn't play that well, but like we were David Gray didn't take the penalty. McGrath's a pretty reliable guy from the spot, so he takes that. We get a draw. VAR does his job. It goes to 3-1, but
You-
also
You're
you know
sitting on 4 points rather than one at
we
that
don't
point.
defend that properly in the second half. We don't defend the last throws of the game properly as we haven't done all season, and that is something Gray's going to have to sort out. But it's a penalty, and that happens. I think it's very very harsh to kind of pin that
I know.
result on Gray.
But this is what I mean. I said this a few times in defense of Critchley last season, and I remember saying that things like Critchley, because Gray had that really poor start, Critchley had
Yeah,
a better points per game ratio than David Gray
at the time, yeah.
for most of the season, and then probably, to us, that probably changed a little bit towards the end. But that's I was saying that should surely be going in your defence, and it was just little things here and there. Um, that are just you're just not getting the rub of the green. You've said this a million times though, Rob, that it's a results business.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the minute, this season, I think it's fair to say David Gray's not really been getting the results. And
No.
that's not being a Hearts fan rubbing it in. That's just I imagine a lot of Hibs fans would have to have that opinion as well.
Well, a lot of Hibs fans want him out. A lot
Want
of
him out?
guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of guys I'm speaking to on the various WhatsApp chat, a few of the things I've seen on social media. I think steady. I
Well,
think.
I saw an argument, and this is I like David Gray actually. I think well, he grew up a Hearts fan, so he's already got half a victory there. But I like a bit of a cliche, but he does come across well in interviews. Very level-headed. Obviously, great third place finish last season. But someone was saying like, look, basically from August to roughly December last year, rubbish. Late December to April, unbelievable. Fell off it a bit at the end, and then this season I think if you'd say mixed if you're being generous. So, and this is a Hibs fan by the way making this argument that
Yeah, yeah,
basically you take that December to April, and you can't discard it because he still did it, but actually he's been below average more than he's been above average. That
yeah,
was his argument. That was his argument.
yeah. I think. Look, I think taking December and April out of it is a bit
No,
because
no, no. You
it was
take that in.
it was record breaking.
Yeah.
Um, but what I would say is just to kind of calm down a bit because I was disappointed. I looked at that as well, and I was thinking, another game we've dropped points, but, and this is the big but, we're third in the league. Yes, we should have more points. Yes, Gray's made mistakes this season. The players are off form as well. The players that we rely on, the players that get us points, that get us ticking, a lot of them have been off form and together. And I don't think that's just on the manager. I think the players need to take some of the responsibility as well for these big moments. The manager can't kick every ball for you. And I'm not absolving Gray, as I said, I have criticised him on this pod at times and at times rightly. But I just think before the season, we wanted to be third again. Although the league's tight, that's where we are right now. And that's where we are having played poorly. We are yet to hit stride. We are yet to
Yeah.
get going in
So,
the domestic season. So I just think steady. Let's see what the next few games bring. Hopefully in January we look at the likes of Dykes, we look at the right back that's going to allow Mulligan to play in the midfield. All these things, and then I'll be happy to judge him. It's not like we're at the bottom of the league. Do you know what I mean? And I know a couple of results could change
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's that tight. But
But
no,
as things stand, like we're third.
yeah.
That is not for me
Yeah,
the
and even I know Rangers have got a game in hand, and so not that they're guaranteed to win it, but even a draw puts them above you. But even then,
yeah,
like because Hearts are having such a freakish season,
yeah,
um, even fourth this season is kind of a given that Celtic and Rangers have such a budget, it's
yeah.
not a disaster. But I suppose final question then, Rob, on David Gray because that's ultimately where we've got to here. If you could say right, so definitely stay. Asking some questions, job under review, and sack them. If they're the four categories, keep them, ask some questions, under review, sack them. Where are you?
Well, I think ask questions is fair enough.
Okay.
I think that's fair enough. I just think to sack him right now, I think that's over the top.
But you wouldn't even have like the dreaded vote of confidence or anything like that.
No, not yet.
You would just be like, you know, let's say you're the board, you're saying, right, we want a wee upturn in results if we're going to
Yeah,
invest in
yeah.
January.
And I think that'd be fair enough. And I think Gray knows that himself. He knows the club inside out. He's been a player. He knows the expectations. He's seen guys come and go.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows himself, just like he knew the writing was on the wall last season if things
Yeah.
turn round. Do you know what I mean? So he's not one of these coaches that live in kind of you know a different realm. He
Uh,
understands what needs to happen, and we need results. And as we'll go on to speak, we've got one of the most difficult fixtures coming up, which just couldn't have landed at any worse time for Hibs and Gray, I'm sure. But
yeah. It's almost I'll come on to my thoughts on that a little bit. It's almost worse than having Celtic Park or whatever, you know.
Because the pressure's still on.
Yeah, exactly. You think you should beat a St Mirren because you want to be finishing above them in the league, but as what happened to Hearts on Wednesday, I mean, it's
Yeah,
you can get pushed about there quite easily.
absolutely, absolutely. And I actually like the boy up front for them, Mandron.
Oh, great player, yeah,
He's a
great.
handful.
So speaking of Hearts, then fresh off that 2-2 with St Mirren, um, to be honest, this review won't actually take long. It was 4-0, great result, love it, um, pretty comfortable. We actually didn't play that great, certainly to start with. We made a few changes though. Braga, Halkett, and Kingsley were all rested. Um, Kabori came in, obviously got a couple of goals, which is great. Um, but we were also doing things like Milne went back to left back, Kizaridis over to the right. So although it's only three changes in terms of personnel, it was almost half the team were in a different position to this run that we've been on. And you're bouncing back from the first sign of a wobble, results wise. Although I stand by the point away to St Mirren, I'm okay with that. But it was kind of like, right, well, how do you bounce back? And in some ways, we were talking about Hibs having the worst fixture. This was almost the best fixture. Dundee at home. Um, they were awful. They were really bad. They didn't lay a glove on us. They had one deflected strike, which ended up hitting the outside of the post. But I think we were already at least a goal up by then, maybe two. But other than that, we actually took a little while to get going. Scored a really nice goal. Spittle, who actually had a good game. I mean, I think his time at Hearts is probably up. It's time for him to move on. But if he can play his way, if he can play with the motivation of getting a good deal somewhere else, fine by me. And he actually had a good game. Ability-wise, Spittle's a great footballer. He's just a
Mm,
bit slow.
yeah, I've always quite liked Spittle, I've got to say.
No, he's nice on the ball, and there is a level for him. And there's a version of Hearts uh, last season before where you love having him in there. But given that we were missing pace and he is a slow guy, uh,
Mm,
and now he just doesn't fit in. We've
mm,
because we've improved a lot. But anyway, he does really nice. He gets the ball from the defence. He turns, and I was chatting to our mate Dave at the game saying he could have played the pass first time on the outside to Milne, and then Milne still got to beat the fullback. But he actually just does a little dummy, and it's really nice. And he plays the pass on the inside of the defender, and it completely takes him out of the game. Milne then passes to Shankland. I was hoping he was going to open up onto his right, but instead he comes back to his left, and it's a great finish. Um, I don't know if some people criticising the keeper. It hits the inside of the post and goes in. It doesn't get much more accurate than that without missing. So 1-0, great. We then start to upper game a little bit, partly because Dundee have to come out a bit. Paisley had them set up with 12 at the back, and which I know you like as well. You're a big fan of that. Um, and then we get a corner again. It's good play. Beningame actually gets fouled, but he plays Milnen, who gets the corner. Ball comes in, and I think it's Finlay wins the header. Kabori actually takes it really nicely. It comes at him, it's bouncing up towards him. He takes a good touch, swivels and smashes it in. And it was nice because he's not played much. He got a hat trick on international duty, so he will have come back buzzing and then still not really played. He thought he had the goal on Wednesday night, didn't get it. So really nice to get Kabori up and running. And he went over to McInnes, big hug and all that for the goal. So 2-0 at half time, pretty easy going. And then we get the third relatively early-ish in the second half, which just I mean the game was probably already over. But again, it's actually the ball comes to Spittle, plays it back the direction the keeper's come. Really good save onto the post. It's actually a brilliant save. But Kabori is the one that's following in and taps it in 3-0. Happy days. We had another good couple of chances. Spittle playing some nice passes. The goal eventually comes, and again another one. Magnuson getting his first goal. The corner comes in. It's kind of bundled in, but like I think that's kind of all he can do. Like he's running in, and when you're running in at that speed, you just need to get a body part on the ball. It doesn't matter, and it's the old cliche if it comes off your arse and goes in, but he just gets it off his thigh and runs with it in. Would have been an interesting call for VAR. Finlay was on the line, and he actually by the time he touches the ball, he's over the line, so he definitely doesn't touch the ball. But there is an argument that he would potentially have interfered with the keeper. But that said, whether it's 3-0 or it's 4-0, it doesn't really matter at that stage. And even then, I don't know if it's conclusive that he interferes in any way. So anyway, 4-0, and that is that's kind of that. We didn't really have to get out of first gear at any point. We were just keeping the ball. I was looking at it 70 minutes to go, and I was thinking, and I'm not complaining when I say this, but it just got a bit boring. We didn't need to do
Yeah.
anything, which is nice. We rested some players who didn't start, but even then, we weren't having to go hell for leather in the last 20 minutes. We were just strolling about, and that's good for energy levels for other games coming up. So I'm um, I'm more than okay with that. And I know, obviously it's nice that's a 9 point lead. Celtic have got a game in hand because they were playing today, but points on the board. And that's all we could do. It doesn't matter if Celtic end up with 10 games in hand. If we can actually just get the points on the board, that puts the pressure on them. There's,
Yeah.
no
And I
matter
think,
when.
sorry, Stuart.
Yeah.
I think as well the fact that there are no easy games in the league this season.
Mm.
I think it's probably the most competitive league I can remember in terms of how, and the league reflects that,
Yep.
of how tight it is. But I think the fact that from a Hearts perspective, you can rest players and still get that level of performance from guys who haven't been playing really
Mhm.
is a great place to be in.
Well, that's it. Magnuson comes on, gets the goal. Kabori starts, gets two, and then even then, like Kabangu comes on the last 10 minutes. He's a good player.
Yeah,
He would improve a lot of teams in the
yeah,
league. James Wilson's not kicked the ball.
yeah.
But I'm kind of hoping he gets a loan move in January actually because he does have a lot of potential. We've still got, yeah. I feel like I mention this every week, but Skrevnik, the right back, still to come back in. Probably our only specialist right back. Um, Chesnikov still coming in. Aju, our record signing. He's picked up a couple of knocks here and there, so he's not played. Kyrgiota, who obviously did great in the derby to set up the goal, but other than that, hasn't really kicked the ball. Not in a bad way. I mean, he's
Mm.
not really been on the pitch much. So I mean, yeah, that's great. And we got to rest players yesterday and still finished the game with uh, Kabangu and Braga up front. I mean, that's a decent front too. Halkett didn't even have to come on yesterday, and he's been quite injury prone. Beningami's played lots of 90 minutes, but we were able to take him off with, I think, 10 or 15 minutes to go yesterday just to rest him because great player on his day, but just been quite injury prone. So, result, huge plus. Performance mixed, but we were as good as we needed to be to score goals. And I felt like if we needed one, we could have upped it again. And in terms of resting players after Celtic and St Mirren, two big games, perfect, perfect from that point of view as well. So, and I was looking at it just to round this bit off, I guess. At the minute, obviously, that's one round of fixtures done. Celtic are our closest rivals. Between now and the end of the year, well, I was going to say six, but I guess they won today, so it's seven extra games they've got on us this the rest of this calendar year. And just between fatigue, injuries, suspensions, or whatever else, I think that's a big advantage. Now, obviously, you want to get to the point where you're playing those extra games because we'd like to be in a cup final, we'd like to be in Europe, but we're not this season, and let's just take the positives from that right now.
And you'll be in a 6 pointer, they'll remember, within that away to Celtic.
But do you know what? I said this to my dad yesterday that having beaten them at Tynecastle, it's almost a free hit because even if they beat us, you've evened out with them in terms of the points at that point, and that's why it was such a big victory at Tynecastle just to do that. Um, what people keep saying, like, oh, Celtic will have this inevitable march. The fact is, if you can start taking points off them, you're bringing their score down, in terms of what they can get at the end of the season, and that's all it is mathematical at the end. So the more we can do that, the better. And I have to say, based on performance, I mean, there's Dundee got a draw against Rangers, beat Celtic, and we have swatted them aside with a lot of ease yesterday, really. I know that's not how you measure the league, and your opposition can have off days and on days and things like that. But the point I was making with that, really, I guess, is if you're going on performance, Celtic look more likely to drop points than Hearts right now, I would say.
Well, yeah.
For,
Although
just now,
although midweek St Mirren,
fine. I mean, Celtic played them at home and got a deflected 89th minute goal against them. They went to Kilmarnock and scraped a victory with a penalty that was never a penalty. We smashed them 3-0.
I just think there are signs of Celtic possibly getting their act together.
I don't know. Did you watch the game today?
No, I did. I did. I thought they were really good first half. And then I don't know, they didn't play great in the second half, and then obviously extra time they saw the game out. But
I mean,
I
I don't obviously I don't want to get ahead of myself because obviously Celtic could click into gear at any point, and when you've got McGregor, Maeda, their new wingers that they've brought in, Premier League winners in goals, Kieran Tierney at left back, obviously they could come brilliantly. All I mean is based on
what you've
performances,
seen so
not just
far.
results, but performances so far. Hearts
Yeah.
have looked more assured, I would say, than
Oh
Celtic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's undeniable. I think
That could change next week, of course. I
yeah,
get that. I
yeah.
totally
But
get
I'm just saying, I think for a while it looks like Celtic have been kind of awful. Really, they were awful under Rodgers, and that's ultimately why he resigned or got the sack, whatever way you want to look at it.
that.
But I
But
just think they're slowly kind of clicking into gear, and whether
they
sure
probably will.
whether that will be enough or not, who knows? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
parts of the points on the board, and they're putting pressure on Celtic. In the end, they've got Johnny Kenny up front. Now, look, I know he scored 3 and 2, and O'Neill's getting a tune out of him, but apart from that, like, I don't think Celtic would be happy with him being your main striker for the rest
Compare
of the
that.
season. You know what I mean?
Compare that to other Celtic teams who have had like Odsonne Edouard
Yeah.
and
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik or even more recently like Kyogo and all that. Like
Yeah,
didn't like the guy, chucked himself about, but can't argue with the amount of goals he scored
yeah.
and was obviously a good player.
He was
Um,
frightening.
so yeah, you're right. Fair, Johnny Kenny might turn out to be a good player and has scored a few goals, but it's not exactly Odsonne Edouard up front, is it?
Imagine if he gets 20 this season after.
No, yeah,
Don't get me
yeah.
wrong, it was some header today he scored, to be fair. And I know this is the Hibs Hearts podcast, but it was a good header. I like to see kind of young players.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the young lad, what was his name? Was it Osborne or something that scored
Osman.
the Osmond, that's it. Yeah, yeah, got the third. Um, anyway, right, let's look ahead to next week. We'll stick Hearts quickly because actually we've got the other side of Dundee coming to Tynecastle in United, who haven't, they've been a wee bit off it this season compared to last season, maybe. I know Jim Goodwin has overall done a really good job there, and you need to remember they only got promoted ahead of last season. We were good against them at Tannadice and probably the better team, but an element of luck, obviously, with a late goal. But I think we've gotten better since then, and I actually think they've got slightly worse since then. And I do think being at Tynecastle again, if we want to be up near the top, even if we're just talking about second rather than anything beyond that, um, you want to be beating Dundee United at home. I suspect we'll bring the likes of Halkett, Braga back into the team. Um, and again, yeah, I'm thinking a 2-0 would firstly do just fine, but also it's probably got a 2-0 written all over it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be 2-0. I think it'll be quite a comfortable. Although, as I said, Dundee United have a few decent players. I think Goodwin has done a good job, and all it would take is for Hearts to, have a poor game and Dundee United to kind of up their levels a bit for them to get a result. I don't think it's not like if Dundee rocked up to Tynecastle and got a result. I
Well,
think they're capable of it, Dundee United, but I just don't think. I think the momentum is with Hearts, as you say. You've the luxury of resting players. You've got the feel good factor. You're putting your chances away. You're defending well.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't see Dundee United winning there. But then I didn't see St Mirren getting a result on
you're loving
Wednesday.
that St Mirren draw, aren't you?
I'm just saying, I didn't see that happening. We both called it.
No,
So
I know, I know.
I'm
Um,
you know,
I suppose, yeah, to summarize from a Hearts point of view, what you're saying there is obviously I was more confident with Dundee coming to Tynecastle than Dundee
yeah.
United, who are a better team. But yeah, we're scoring lots of goals right now, and I suppose the Dundee United game kind of sums it up. We've actually defensively we're great. We've only conceded one more than Celtic, having played an extra game, so we've got the second best defense in the league.
And what
Um,
about that St Mirren game?
that's the I'm going to bring up. That's the new Josh Campbell. Need to get a wee buzzer.
Oh.
Um, that kind of sums it up. Even if we do have a game where we concede two or three, we can score the goals to either get the point or get the win. So 3-2 Dundee United, 3-3 Motherwell, 2-2 St Mirren. We're at least matching those goals that
Yeah,
are coming in against us when they
yeah.
do, which isn't that often. So yeah, I'm expecting a victory and hoping for a victory. So speaking of St Mirren away, it's a tricky tie. I don't know if you heard, but we drew with them midweek.
Yeah. Um, ah,
It's the worst game you could have had because
it
at least at
is.
Celtic Park, you're probably expecting to lose. To an extent, you're probably
Ibrox the
expecting to lose
same.
at Ibrox. And even like, I mean, even if St Mirren were coming to Easter Road, I wouldn't be feeling too good about that. But I mean, away to
I'd
St.
be feeling a bit better.
No, of
Um,
course,
away to St Mirren.
physical team, good players.
I mean, I would personally take a point, to be honest. We look very fragile right now. Um, we're not taking our chances. As I said, we're not just getting those little bits of luck that you sometimes need
Yeah,
when things are going against you. Lots of players off form. It's not the place you want to be going. Robinson's very good manager. You'll have them, yeah, as you found out yourselves, big physical team, but they can play as well, and full of energy, in your face,
yeah.
set pieces, dangerous, big boy Mandron up front. I like O'Hara as well. He's a good player.
Phillips.
Who's the other striker they have?
I always get him mixed up with the boy. By the way, the names quite sound quite similar, but
Zulu or
he's a big,
something. It's
yeah,
something
he's
like.
a
Anyway,
he's a physical, and
they're a handful.
not to mention, I mean, Phillips in the middle is physical, but of course Gogic as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So
these
look,
guys will rough you up.
they will rough up, and they will. I'm sure
But
relish Hibs coming to Paisley.
I think you'd be making a mistake if you wrote off the fact that they can actually move the ball around a little bit. I mean, Mandron in particular is both physical, strong, and fast,
Yeah.
but a good footballer.
He's the type of guy we need at Hibs. That's the type of guy we should be looking at. But anyway, I would take a point. I would have just based on kind of what I've seen over the last couple of weeks. St Mirren probably slight favourites, and that's kind of a bit shocking to say because
Because of the home
again, player
advantage.
for player, like Hibs are better. Um, but I just think we're too many players off form right now. Might be the game it all clicks into place that we put away our chances and give St Mirren a doing. But whatever happens, it's going to be a very, very tight game. I think we're looking at 2-1 either way, or something like a 2-all draw, something like that. Or if Hibs don't turn up at all, then it's probably like a honking 1-0 St Mirren win,
I've got in my head 1-1 written all over it with either team having the better of one half.
possibly.
So
It's
St
going to be
Mirren
a
get the
rugby
goal
match.
first half, Hibs come back into it, or
Yeah.
vice versa. Um, and again, I don't think there's any maroon glasses with that. I think it's just a
No,
fair.
no, I think that's fair enough. I think
fair
that's fair enough. So, bad place to be going, but can also be a chance for us. As I said, I know I sound like a broken record here, but we need to get ourselves sorted out domestically. We just have to put together a run of results that just brings back the confidence, brings back the fans as well. I don't know what's happened to the great following we had last season. They don't seem to be showing up in the numbers. I just think that there's a kind of I don't know what's going on with the atmosphere. I'm just
It's
not getting.
I mean, I can say it from the point of view of because we've got it just now,
Yeah,
and that is that it's much easier to get to a game and to sing at a game when you're winning.
of course, of
And
course.
and that's it's not a reflection on Hibs fans being part timers or fair weather.
No, 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 no.
Because it happens. I mean, my I've been to or sorry, I've seen Celtic on TV with 20,000 people in their stadium before, and that's whilst they're winning trebles under Ronnie Dyla. You know what I mean? So it's the same of everyone. Final question to round off the pod, Robert. That's a round of fixtures done. 11 games in. You've played everyone now.
We've not played Motherwell yet.
Oh, have you not played Motherwell? All right. So have you played someone twice?
I think that was a
Livingston.
rearranged fixture, was it not?
You've played Livingston twice, haven't you, in the league?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Oh, no, so fair enough. So, but either way,
yeah,
11, 11.
but pretty much a
Yeah.
full round. Yeah,
Full round for Hearts anyway. So 11 games in. What? Let's just talk about the league. What grade are you giving it?
C minus.
It's pretty disappointing.
It
Which is
is
funny
because
to be in
it's all
third.
the points we've lost.
I know.
The only positive is that we're third. That's it. Apart
Well,
from
that's
that,
I mean, let's be honest, if Rangers hadn't had the whole Russell Martin era, they'd probably be.
Yeah.
quite a wee distance ahead of you
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They
because of
would.
those drop points, and
Um,
you're also looking at like all the draws in the league, which Hibs have been a part of, I suppose. So
yeah.
you can't
We've
take
just
that.
thrown away too many points, and from winnable positions, we've not turned up in games. We've had periods in games where you think, all right, okay, starting to show some of these signs of where we're going, and then we just revert back to not keeping the ball, not doing the basics. So C minus, I think, would be a pretty fair. The only positive is where we are in the league. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. That's why obviously it's hard for me to say it from a Hibs point of view. Um, but I was thinking around a C because I can't help but feel like your league position is actually more based on other teams than Hibs right now.
Yes,
You
I'd
know,
agree with that. Yeah,
and that's again
yeah.
just objective. You can't go dropping points that often
No.
and be overly happy with the
And
season.
in the manner
I
that
know,
we
I
have,
know, I know,
like
I know,
91st minute,
I know,
how many times it's just
I know.
anyway,
Um, Hearts,
it's got to be an A plus.
I'm going to have to give it an A plus.
Yeah.
I know the St Mirren and Motherwell draws, but every team could draw with Motherwell. Every team could draw with St Mirren. Um, the fact is, we've beaten Hibs, we've beaten Celtic, we've beaten Rangers. Conceded one goal in those 3 games. You chuck Aberdeen into that, it's still only one goal. Like it's just been great. The feel good factor is there. Tynecastle's been rocking. I've been to a few of the away games. They're always good fun as well. Um, I just pretty easy answer to give it an A plus to that one. So all is going well, and bring on Dundee United next weekend.
Well, as I said, I would be lying if I said I'm looking forward to the St Mirren game, but I'm
Yeah.
just looking forward to never have to talk about that Livingston game again.
Right, on that note, I'll put in a 20-minute feature on Hibs Livingston next week. Right, Rob, I will catch you for the pod next week.
Yep. See you next week.
See you guys.